Right, so welcome to this review for Gathering Storm Part 3, The Rise of the Primarch. So in this video I'm going to take a look at the book here, run through all of the pages, and then we'll come to the rules and the missions and run through that as well, give you my take on this release here. As Games Workshop move the Warhammer 40,000 storyline along, it has to happen, you know, they can't keep things as they are. It's good that a story moves along, but without spoiling what's already gone before. That's the balance I think needs to be achieved. So I've got this one from gamingfigures.com. It's come through from them. They do Games Workshop at discounted rates, 15% off. If your order comes to over £100, they give you an extra 5% off on top of that. And then if you're in the UK and you order from them and the order comes to over £40, they give you free postage as well. So you can check them out. That's gamingfigures.com. So, interesting review. This one's up at Warhammer World, and it was the debut for Robert Gilliman, and we saw that game that was filmed just before we came on later on in the evening. So it's a fantastic model. We'll get to see it a bit later on, check out the rules for him. He seems to do really well in the game, but we'll get the exact rules here towards the end of the book. So the third part in this series here, as the forces of chaos are unleashed, and then in response the Imperium responds here. So there he is, Gilliman himself, with Grey Knights, Ultramarines, and then Dark Angels, I believe these are called, or Fallen Angels. Sort of a split off from Dark Angels. So I've seen this artwork here. A lot of storyline in this. Just really, it's like a book almost. I mean, it's a codex sort of style, the size and hardback and so on. Really is like a book, illustrated book, most of it. And then just at the end there's some rules and missions. So Ultramar Defiant, trust the Ultramarines to come along and try and save the day. So there he is. A realm at war. And as to be expected, loads of artwork and storyline here. I do like this picture here with these guys, look cool. Librarian. Revelation and Rebirth. Robert Gilliman. There he is. It's back in the day, I think, 30k sort of look here. So loads of storyline, fantastic piece of artwork here, very nice. There he is, and these Ultramarines look cool, fighting away here against Black Legion. Some of the characters from the previous books here. It's the one for the Skitarii. There's Celestine. Oh no, that's one of Celestine's bodyguards, I think. There she is, she's just up there. And then, yeah, all the characters are all working together. I think it's a good idea. You get the story, and you get the campaigns, you can use your armies in that, and then a nice selection of sort of showcase miniatures that have been released along with it, and then moving the whole storyline along. So I think it's been a good idea overall. It's been a good way to move the story along and almost celebrating the story moving along. They're not ashamed of what's going on. They have to move the storyline along, and then sort of celebrating it almost with these brilliant miniatures that are being released. I think that's really helped the transition. So no worries here at all. Be more worried about what they're going to do with 8th edition. I've heard different rumours. I hope it's not massive changes, but we'll have to see. I mean, change, again, as I was saying earlier, change does have to happen to keep things moving, but hopefully they don't damage 7th edition. I really have enjoyed 7th edition for 40k. It has been a good edition of the rules. But then I've always struggled. I mean, I really liked 5th edition. Didn't want to switch over to 6th. We clung on to 5th for a while. Then 6th came along and enjoyed that, and then was worried that 7th was going to wreck everything, and then 7th was okay. 7th was really good. So hopefully it'll be a semi-painful process, but shift over to 8th shouldn't be too much of a problem. But it all depends on what Games Workshop are planning to do. Again, very atmospheric artwork here, really nice. So here they are. Here he is, just there next to Calgar, Sicarius as well. Black Legion, Chaos, regular Space Marines desperately need to be redone, and the Terminators as well. So Warstorm, we're on chapter 2. Real shift in scenery here as well. It's sort of fighting Chaos Demons here, which is perfect for the Grey Knights to get involved. Always love that piece of artwork. Really cool piece of artwork, that. Love that one. So, there's a full novel here. There's a lot here. The Red Corsairs, interesting. Talk about another chapter. Here they are. I do love that actually for, can't really, if you can see it there, but it's Ultramarines and then like a Roman Legionary or Roman Centurion crest and then split with white and red. Just looks really cool against the gold and the blue armour. Does look particularly good. Yeah, nice. Yeah, some models, these are, and it's an incredible model, and the paint job on that's fantastic. Hardly ever come up against these. A couple of years ago played against an army like this and they were deep striking all over the place. It was great fun to play against them. But very weird. Very, very weird. Rise of the Primarch here, chapter 3. Cypher. Legion of the Damned. Cool, always had a bit of a soft spot for them. Right, Elite. There he is. And that was pretty much the showdown that we saw Warhammer World. It was one of these things taking on Gillian. If you were watching, you saw what happened. Thousand Suns here as well. That's the red. Crazy. Nice. It's rough. Another great piece of artwork here. Really weird. Dust to Dust. Yeah, one of the rumours heard these are getting their own codex, which would be cool. Nice gold theme for the army. Nice. Chrome World. Another great piece of artwork here. The story just goes on. Yeah, Adeptus Custodes, or Custodes. Cool. I think Codex them's a good idea. This one looks like a Star Wars poster. Almost. Really does look like a movie poster here. Nice. And then it's a gallery now of the new miniatures. So you've got Cypher here, and they seem to, it's not miniatures that are all the same size. Each of these books that's come out, it's been like sort of a mixture of large and smaller models here. So Cypher goes through the shadows against his fellow Fallen. Very nice looking model, that one. I mean, you can't, all of these releases have been the best that Games Workshop have to offer. I can't fault any of the sculpting work that's been done with any of the new releases. Voldus and his heroic brothers turn back the demonic tide. It's Voldus, and then you've got Gilliman just there. The only one I didn't like, actually, is Magnus the Red. Just not keen on that model, really at all. There's parts of it nice, the wings are nice, but just a little bit too weird, bit sort of Warhammer sort of look to him. But yeah, not too keen on him. But these are all very nice indeed. Details here, it's handy for when you're painting up the model. There's a rear photograph there. Details for Voldus as well, and then details as well for Cypher. So perfect book to accompany the models if you get a hold of them. But Gilliman's something else here. Quite incredible. Wonder how many Ultramarine players will take him. So these are Fallen Angels. It's quite a nice idea. It's not a hint of green with these, it's all black, red, and sort of linen cream coloured cloaks. And the rules, chapter 4, just here. So Echoes of War missions. So we'll go through some of these. These look quite interesting actually. So the previous two books had some pretty cool missions, and it looks like they're carrying on with very interesting ones here. Right, so Echoes of War Through the Flames is mission number 1. So the fortress of Hera is besieged by the forces of chaos. As Macragge's defenders battle against attack from the land and air, a pair of Ultramarine Storm Ravens and their Stormhawk escorts brave the cauldron of fire and Helldrakes swarming over the fortress to fly down from orbit. Their mission is to transport the pilgrims to an armoured hangar in the flanks of the fortress so they can meet the Lord of Ultramar. Right, so a very specific mission here. So the armies, one player is the Imperial player. Their army consists of 2 Storm Raven gunships and up to 4 Stormhawk interceptors. Cool. Their opponent is the Chaos player. Their army consists of any number of the following units: Helldrakes, Helltalon Chaos Fighters, Hellblade. Oh. Pretty restricted, this one. On models, as all flyers are treated as individual models in this mission, they're not taken as squadrons. It's almost like an air skirmish. This battle takes place in the atmosphere above the fortress of Hera upon Macragge, and as such no scenery should be used. The mission is designed to be played in a set of 2x2 game boards, set of 6, so still 6x4, for reasons that become apparent when you read the mission special rules. Right, so they want you to use the Realm of Battle tiles here, because I think they move them around. Deployment. The rules normally require flyers to start in reserve do not apply in this mission. Instead, the Imperial player deploys first, setting up their flyers anywhere within the deployment zone, which is here, so 2 feet in. All Imperial flyers must be set up on the battlefield, none in reserve. The Chaos player sets up D3 flyers, chosen freely from the available models in the army. The remaining Chaos flyers may arrive later during the battle, as described in the mission special rules. Roll a dice before setting up each Chaos flyer to determine its interception point. It must be set up touching the centre of the edge of the board section corresponding to the dice roll. Alright, okay. So interception points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It can face in any direction. Only one flyer can be set up at each interception point at the same time. If an interception point is occupied, roll again till a free one is rolled. Just trying to shoot down these aircraft really. Imperial player goes first. Seize initiative you can do. Mission lasts until the Imperial flyers have been destroyed. All remaining Storm Raven gunships reach the fortress of Hera as described below. Victory conditions. Imperial player wins if both the Storm Raven gunships reach the fortress of Hera. The Chaos player wins if both Storm Raven gunships are destroyed. So, a 2-game ultimate challenge. Instead of playing a single game, play the mission twice, with the players changing sides to the second game. Keep track of the number of turns. If the Imperials win both of the 2 games, the player that won the Imperials in the fewest number of turns is the winner. Okay, so, special rules. Endless skies. Imperial player must fly a considerable distance to reach the destination. To represent this, when Imperial flyer reaches the left-hand side of the battlefield, which is here, then the 2 right-hand 2 boards are picked up and placed along the left edge of the battlefield. In this way, the battlefield will roll along from left to right until the Storm Ravens reach their destination or are destroyed. So they reach here, take the N2, put them on. The right-hand boards must be rolled around. If a Storm Raven gunship starts its turn within 6 of the left-hand side of the battlefield. When this happens, any flyers in the right-hand 2 board section are removed from play. Imperial flyers are considered to have been destroyed. Chaos flyers returned to the pool of units that can be used to intercept. Okay, the 2 boards are then removed and placed in the left-hand side of the battlefield as shown in the diagram below. 2 new boards now form the left-hand side of the battlefield. Right, okay. Over the course of the battle, the right-hand boards will be moved each time a Storm Raven gunship reaches the left-hand side of the battlefield. Keep track of the number of times the right-hand board sections are moved. The 5th time it occurs, the game ends Any surviving Storm gunships are assumed to have reached the fortress of Harrow. Right, so that's a long table. I mean, if you have the room, like at our wargaming club, we've got an 18-foot table, you could just set the whole thing out. But on a smaller table, they just make it possible for you to play it that way. So Chaos Reinforcements, the Chaos player must roll 2d6 at the start of their turns and refer to the table below. So, I won't read through all these, it just gives you how many flyers can come on. Sometimes they get intercepted and hit by Imperial firepower, so on. So, that looks fun, different, that's for sure, but again, it fits in with the storyline here. So, I imagine that'd be good fun, probably wouldn't take too long. And a nice mixture, if you're going to play the campaign through, you're starting off with something that's nice. Not some massive epic battle straight away. It's a build up here, which is good. So mission number 2 is the Battle of Gilliman's Shrine. Again, looking different. So the pilgrims have finally arrived at Gilliman's Shrine and reached the throne upon which the Primarch sits, preserved through eternity by a crackling stasis field. As Call activates his auto-reliquary, the Black Legion launches a desperate all-out assault in an effort to prevent the Primarch's resurrection. Right, so desperate fight here. So Imperial player, they must have the following units: Gilliman, Grand Master Voldus, Belisarius Call, the Visarch and Yvrain. Alright, so you've got to have a fair spread of the miniatures here. The remainder of the army must consist of an ultra-range attachment. It includes Marneus Calgar, Chief Librarian Tigurius, but cannot include any vehicles. Marneus Calgar must be the army's warlord until Gilliman is revived. Once Reboot is revived, he becomes the army's warlord. Your opponent is the Chaos player. Their army must consist solely of a Black Legion detachments and or formations. In addition, the army must include the Chosen of Abaddon formation from the Traitor Legions Codex, but cannot include Abaddon the Despoiler or any vehicles that cannot deep strike. Then the battlefield looks like a 6x4, and then with 2 extras just on top there. So the Shrine of Gilliman is an enormous vaulted chamber filled with marble pillars. Statues representing the Primarch's deeds and accomplishments, and rubble from the smashed ceiling of the chamber. As at the far end is a massive throne on which the Primarch sits, locked timelessly in place by a powerful stasis field. Set up any terrain is described in the rulebook, using to find the mission, scenery, pick a suitable piece of scenery to represent the throne, within 6 inches, got right here. Yep. So Imperial player goes first, setting up the units anywhere in the deployment zone, which is those 4 in the grey colour. However, Gilliman cannot be set up at this stage. He arrives later in the battle. All other units must be set up on the battlefield. None can be placed in reserve. In addition, Belisarius Call, Visarch, Yvrain and Tigurius must be set up within 3 inches of the throne. All other independent characters must be set up no more than 12 inches. Must be set up more than 12 inches from Gilliman's throne. The Chaos player then sets up their units anywhere in the deployment zone, which is those 4. Up to half of the units in the Chaos army can be put in reserve, but note that reserves can only arrive using deep strike. Chaos player has the first turn unless the Imperials can seize initiative. 6 game turns, or until Gilliman's slain. Got pressure in this one. It's quite climatic, this. Chaos player wins the game if Gilliman is slain. Any other result is a victory for the Imperial player. So they will just kind of kill him. Right, so auto reliquary. At the start of the battle, Gilliman's throne is enclosed with the auto reliquary deployed by Belisarius Call and is treated as being a piece of impassable terrain. It is protected by a reinforced void field, which has the following effects. It cannot be attacked in the shooting phase, as long as Call is within 3 inches of it to operate the field. In addition, it cannot be affected by psychic powers, as long as Tigurius is within 3 inches. And it cannot be attacked in the assault phase, if the Visarch of Yvrain is within 3 inches. If, despite these protective measures, it is still subject to an attack, it is treated as having toughness 7, 10 wounds, armor over 3+, and is hit automatically in close combat. If it is destroyed before Gilliman is revived, as described next, and the Chaos player immediately wins the battle. Cool, she's trying to protect the throne. It's a cool mission, this one. Right, so the Imperial player sees Gilliman revive. You must roll a dice at the start of each of their turns, adding 2 to the roll for each game turn that has elapsed in the battle so far. If the modified result is a 6 or more, Guilliman is revived. When this happens, place the model as close as possible to Guilliman's throne, more than 1 inch away from enemy models. He cannot be used normally for the rest of the battle. He can be used normally for the rest of the battle, but the auto reliquary special rule no longer applies. Cool. And that's it. Fight for... what an entry into the campaign for him. Cool. That's a good mission, that one. So no, these would be fun. You know, and you paint a couple of miniatures up. You're really excited about using Guilliman. They introduce them in, you know, they debut potentially in like a really cool themed mission for them. So it's all a good idea. Right, mission 3 is Macrage's Honour. As Guilliman's crusading fleet attempted to reach Terra, it was ambushed by a combined force of Red Corsairs and Demons of Zench, led by Chaos Fateweaver. Chaos Force launched a devastating attack and was able to create a massive breach in the forward bulkhead of Guilliman's flagship, Macrage's Honour. Wave upon wave of demons and Red Corsairs poured into the bridge, determined to capture Guilliman and end his crusade once and for all. Right, desperate fight again here. God, dear me. So, one player is an Imperial player. They must include Guilliman and the Victrix Guard formation. The remainder of the army must consist of an Ultramarines detachment, but cannot include any vehicles apart from dreadnoughts. Robot Guilliman must be the army's board. The opponent is the Chaos player. All their units have Chaos Space Marines and or Chaos Demons. In addition, the army must include Chaos Fateweaver and one or more Heralds of Zinch, and all other demons in the entire army must be Demons of Zinch. The army may not include any vehicles, and Chaos Fateweaver must be the army's warlord. So, the battle takes place on the bridge of Macrage's Honour. Chaos forces have breached the bridge at one end, as shown in the map opposite. So you want sort of an onboard ship type terrain. Difficult, that. Some of the battle maps are quite cool actually, and you can put some crates and things around. Would pass, I think, for bridge. The area in front of the breach is devoid of cover. The rest of the bridge is designed to form a natural defensive bulwark. Gantries and walkways near the edge of the battlefield provide the Ultramarines with elevated positions from which to rain down attacks on the foe, while consoles filling the central area of the bridge are designed to act as defensive barricades in case of such an attack as this one. Set up any terrain as described in the rules. Right, so they're sort of describing the terrain for you. You can then try and match it as best as you can. It's handy. Deployment. Imperial player deploys first, setting up their units anywhere within their deployment zone. Chaos player then splits the units in their army into 3 waves. Each wave must include at least 1 unit, and no wave can include more than half of the units in the army. Chaos Fateweaver must be in the 3rd wave. No units can be placed in reserve. Cool. The first wave is set up with all models within 12 of the breach. Okay. The second wave arrives through the breach in the first turn, in the same manner as the units arriving from reserve. On the edge, the third wave arrives through the breach in the same manner in the second chaos turn. Right. So, 12 inches in, set up for the first wave. Turn 1, the second wave comes on. Turn 2, the third wave comes on. When a wave arrives, it also includes any chaos units that have been completely destroyed so far in the battle. Oh, cool. If the chaos player wishes at the start of their turn, they can destroy any models remaining in any of their chaos units in order to bring back those units into play. Whoa, so that means there's no tricky leaving one model alive type stuff. A chaos player can just choose to take them off. So the third wave is going to be epic. Imperial player goes first. The mission lasts for 6 turns or until Chaos Fateweaver is slain. Dear, dear. The Chaos player wins the game if Guilliman is bound by psychic chains of his own guilt, anger and disappointment. Imperial player wins if Fateweaver is killed. Another cool battle. They've done well here, I have to say. They've fought up some cool missions. And they've done it so that the average person with a 6x4 table could still play it. They haven't gone for apocalypse size stuff, and it's beyond a lot of people. You could, you and a friend could play this. Right, Chaos Fateweaver's Incantations of Despair. In the psychic phase, Fateweaver can chant incantations of despair instead of using the other psychic powers. Any Heralds of Zinch in 6 can aid in his chanting. If they do so, they cannot use any psychic power either. To chant the incantations, roll 3 dice and add 1 extra dice for every 3 heralds of Tzeentch who are supporting him. For example, if Chaos is supported by 6 heralds, he would roll 5 dice. Each dice roll of 3 or more is a success. Keep track of the number of successes scored in total during the game. If the total ever reaches 6 or more, Guilliman is bound by psychic chains of his own guilt, anger and disappointment. The Chaos player immediately wins. Ugh. Well, that's horrendous. Because he's... I mean, can you try and stop it? Roll 3 dice for every herald of Tzeentch supporting him. For example, keep track. If it reaches 6 or more, and that's doable. God dear. So, that's a tough one, that one. That's a tough one for the Imperial players. You sort of need to assassinate Fate Weaver pretty quick. Nasty. Okay. Cool mission, that one. Pretty cool. It's kept it sort of to a smaller scale, but you would want to play it with a lot of miniatures. I imagine would add to the atmosphere of it. I mean, it needs to have a lot of models. So, cool. Right, the next one, mission number 4, is the final bridge. So, freed from captivity, the only way for Guilliman and his followers to escape is to reach the webway portal that lies at the heart of the Blackstone Fortress in which they were held. Battling their way through the endless hordes of demons and Chaos Space Marines, the Imperial warriors finally reach one final bridge leading to their destination. Freedom will be theirs if they can just reach the other side before the forces of Chaos block the way. Cool. So, one player is Imperial player, they must include Guilliman, and then the following units: Veil Walker, Shadow Seer, Cypher, Captain Sicarius, Grandmaster Voldus. The remainder of the army can consist of any detachments from Space Marines, Grey Knights, Legion of the Damned, Adeptus Mechanicus, Harlequins. Harlequins, cool. The army may not include any flyers. Guilliman is the warlord. Chaos player is Chaos Space Marines and Demons. In addition, the army must include Scarbrand, and all other demons in the army must be demons of Tzeentch or Khorne. And Scarbrand is the warlord. This battle takes place in a vast chamber that is crisscrossed with bridges, stairways, platforms and gantries. Many of the bridges and platforms are extremely large, easily big enough to allow battle tanks to manoeuvre freely around them. The battle map represents the set of bridges that led to the webway portal. The gap between the battlefield sections represents the nearly bottomless pit over which the bridges and platforms are suspended. Cool. Okay. Yes, this is the kind of setup we're going for here. So you could, this is 5, so you could play it like, break these off onto different tables perhaps. Play it that way. We'll see, because that's quite a large area required. Maybe have to play it on the floor perhaps. Bridges can be from 12 to 18 inches wide rather than 24, depending on how much space is available for your game. The webway portal should be between 36 and 72 inches away from the Imperial deployment area, depending on the width of the bridges. Set up any terrain as described in the rulebook using the deployment map in this mission and choosing scenery from a collection that best represents the chamber described above. So the deployment then, Imperial player goes first, or deploys first, setting up their units anywhere within their deployment map, which is just there, those 2 boards. All units must be set up on the battlefield. Right, okay, so they're deploying here, you're trying to escape here, and then you're going to be attacked from Tzeentch and Khorne. A sandwich. Doesn't look very good. Chaos player then sets up their units anywhere within the deployment zones, there and there. Demons of Tzeentch can only deploy in the Tzeentch deployment area, and Khorne in theirs. Chaos Space Marines can deploy in their deployment, in either deployment area. All units must be set up on the battlefield, no reserves. Imperial player goes first, but you can see his initiative. It's 8 game turns long, because there's a fair distance to cover there. That's going to be 6 foot to move to try and escape here from to the webway portal. Victory conditions. Whoever scores the most victory points. If it's a draw, it's a tie if it's the same amount. Chaos player receives 3 victory points for each Imperial unit that is completely destroyed. The Imperial player receives 2 victory points for each Chaos unit completely destroyed and 4 points for each Imperial unit that escapes through the webway. Right, so it's not just killing all the Chaos stuff. You do need to escape off the table. Tight though, can't be a close game. Mission special rules: the Void. The gaps between the bridges are over near bottomless pit. The Void can only be moved over by models with the following unit types: Flyer, Flying Monstrous Creature, Jetbike, Jetpack, Jump or Skimmer. Only units of the Flyer, Jetbike, Jetpack and Skimmer can end their movement in these spaces. I think it's talking about like here. So for example, Jump Infantry could go jump to there and then jump to there as long as they land on the board. A Skimmer could go to here, let's stay there, and then move up another time. Or a Flyer could go to there. I think that's what they're talking about here. Yes, because here the bridges can be 12 to 18 inches wide rather than 24. That's 12 inches, that's 18 inches wide. So this is the gaps it's talking about. So you could get Skimmers and Flyers attacking across this direction. Adds a nice dynamic to it. So you would really need to have that all near each other. So maybe that's 12, that's 14 foot wide or long there. Yeah, it's a floor game, that one, I would imagine. Scarbrand's Rage. Imperial units of 36 of Scarbrand cannot end a move further away from Scarbrand than they were at the start of the move. Must attempt to charge if they're within 12 inches of the enemy in their charge subphase, and would normally be allowed to charge. The rule does not apply to Gilliman or any units drawn from ultramarines within 12 inches of him. So sort of just they'll get sucked in. The webway: Imperial units that are within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield that represents the webway portal at the start of the movement phase can escape through the webway instead of moving. If they do so, the unit is completely removed from play. The unit does not count as being destroyed. Okay, that's how you're picking up your points. You're just trying to escort some units off, trying to keep them away from Scarbrand, and then stop the Chaos attack from both sides. So, another good mission. Quite logistically quite tough though, I think, to get that one organised. It's kind of a game that you could do, you know, if you're a local wargaming club, and you could say, right, we're going to work our way through all these missions here, we'll do one a week, something like that, and all your friends, because it's quite open here, you know, Chaos stuff, Space Marines, Grey Knights, Legion of the Damned, Harlequins, you know, a lot of people can contribute, and you get a team of you could work your way through these. Pretty cool. Oh boy, just when you thought it couldn't get any more extreme here. This is the mission 5, Amidst the Sea of Storms. So Gilliman and the survivors of his crusading army have managed to use the webway to reach the surface of Luna. They appear at the bottom of a crater in the Mare Tempestus. As they reach the rim of the crater, Magnus the Red follows them through the portal at the head of a vast force of 1,000 Sun Space Marines. The Imperial Army has no choice but to turn at bay and hold Magnus in place until reinforcements arrive. So Imperials are escaping, and then they're followed by Magnus the Red. They have to turn and fight. Crater rims this blue line here and here. So the rim's sort of this 24-inch zone all the way around that. Webway portal's just there. So Imperial player is split into 2 contingents. The first must include Gilliman, who's the warlord, and can include Valwalker, the Shadow Seer, Cypher, Sicarius, Saint Celestine, Archmagus Dominus, Belisarius Call, Inquisitor Greyfax, Grandmaster Voldus. The remainder of the force contingent consists of any detachments of the following factions: Space Marines, Ultramarines, Chaps Tactics, Grey Knights, Adeptus Mechanicus, Harlequins. This contingent may not include any Flyers. The second contingent can consist of any detachments from the following factions: Sisters of Silence, Adeptus Custodes, or Space Marines with Imperial Fists tactics. All units in this contingent must be able to deep strike or be transported in vehicles that can do so. The contingent can include Valkyries as dedicated transports for Sisters of Silence units, Imperial Navy Flyers from the Forge World range. Their opponent is the Chaos player. All of their units must either be a 1,000 Suns detachment or have Chaos Demons faction. In addition, the army must include Magnus the Red, and all demons in the army must be demons as Inch. Magnus must be the army's warlord. God, dear me, that's a lot of stuff. So, apocalyptic scale here. The battlefield takes place in a huge crater located in the surface of Luna. The crater is studded with the battered hulks of decommissioned Imperial spacecraft that will provide cover for the warriors of the two armies. At the start of the battle, the Imperial army is located along the rim of the crater, whilst the Chaos Army appears through the webway portal at the crater's heart. Set up any terrain in the rules. Okay, so deployment. Imperial player deploys first, setting up all of the units in the first contingent anywhere between the rim of the crater and the edge of the battlefield. All units in the first contingent must be set up upon the battlefield. None can be placed in reserves. All units in the second contingent must start in reserves. The Chaos player sets up next, anywhere that is more than 24 inches from the rim of the crater. Between the rim of the crater and the webway portal, units from the Chaos Army can start in reserve if desired, but note that Chaos Space Marines can only enter play through the webway portal. Yeah, okay. Imperial player goes first, unless Chaos sees initiative, 6 turns long. At the end of the battle, the player with the most victory points wins. It's 1 victory point for the Chaos player for each Imperial unit can be destroyed, 1 victory point for each wound inflicted by Magnus upon Guilliman. Right, it's a showdown. God, the Imperial player receives 1 victory point for each Chaos unit can be destroyed, and 1 victory point for each wound inflicted by Guilliman or Magnus the Red. Imperial player also receives 3 victory points if they disable the webway portal. Okay, so the rules are over here. Hard vacuum, all attacks have rending special rule, and low gravity, all models have jump. All infantry models have the jump unit type. I'll add to the weirdness. Right, so in the webway portal, Chaos Space Marine units from the Chaos Army that are in reserves must enter play using the edge of the battlefield noted as being the webway portal. Chaos Demons units from the Chaos Army that are in reserves cannot use the webway portal, must deep strike. So specifically that point, I believe, not just this red edge, I think. Could be wrong. Or it may just be that red edge, actually. This red edge here, actually. Imperial second contingent. Imperial second contingent starts the battlefield battle in reserve. Do not roll to see if it enters play. Instead, all of the units from the second contingent arrive from reserves on Imperial player's 4th turn. Imperial units from the second contingent are not flyers can arrive by deep strike. You cannot move on from the battlefield edge. Orbital support. Starting from the Imperial player's 4th turn, all Space Marine captains are allowed to make orbital strikes. The attack is no longer limited to chapter masters. In addition, the one use only rule no longer applies. Superhuman resolve. If Magnus the Red or Guilliman is slain, do not remove them from play. Instead, they shake off the effects of the wounds they have suffered and remain in play with their wounds restored to the full starting complement. The first time either of the Primarchs do this, they recover automatically. The second time is d6 plus 2 or more. On a d6 roll 2 or more. The third time it's 3 or more, and the fourth and subsequent times it's 4 or more. Should the roll ever be fouled, the model is finally slain. This special rule replaces the special rule on Guilliman's Armour of Fate, but he can still use its 3+ in 1. God, so they just fight each other, causing tons of wounds. Crazy. Disabling the webway portal. Val Walker can shut down the webway portal if she is within 3 inches of the edge of the battlefield that leads to it at the start of her shooting phase. Raw dice. On 2 or more, the webway portal is shut down. Chaos Space Marine units can no longer use it to enter the battlefield. In addition, should the red be slain in the game turn that the portal is shut down, then he automatically fails the superhuman resolve roll and is slain. Cool. So all sorts of missions going on there, and truly epic in scale. Cool. Yeah, it is any point on here. I think it's pointing to there, but like here, crater rim with an arrow, but it does mean this whole blue line. So therefore, the webway portal is not that point, but anywhere along there. So that's that one. Let's see if there's another mission. No, that's it. So 5 missions there. I think they're all really good. so Cataclysm of War. Oh, there's more missions here though. Cataclysm of War missions. So just goes through those there. So you're getting, I'll just read this bit here. Cataclysm of War missions represent desperate battles fought between the galaxy's mightiest armies during the tumultuous period of Gathering Storm. Alright, so these are more, that specific campaign that we've previously looked at, these are more generalised battles, I believe. To stand a chance of emerging victorious, players must overcome perilous battlefield events and esoteric anomalies, and make cunning use of stratagems by expanding command points. If you wish to play a Cataclysm of War mission, you can either select one of the 3 missions or roll dice. Right, so there's 3 missions here. That's them. When you field a battle-forged army in one of these missions, you have a number of command points. These can be spent to utilise stratagems, each of which represents a strategic or tactical asset available to your army. Battle-forged armies start with 3 command points, but earn 1 additional command point for each detachment they include, and for each formation included as part of a detachment. You can spend command points to use a stratagem before or during a battle. Each time you use a stratagem, reduce your command points appropriately. If you do not have enough command points for a specific one, you can't use it. Otherwise, you can use the same stratagem multiple times during the course of the battle. Right, it's starting to make sense now, because I heard them using this in the game at Warhammer World. So I think I know what's coming up here. So here's the points costs. So for 1 point you can re-roll any single dice. Right, so what was going on when Gilliman was fighting, he failed a couple of invuln saves, and then I think they were talking about command points. This is so the Ultramarines player decided to use some of the command stratagems here, paid the points and re-rolled some of his invulns, keeping Gilliman in better shape. So I think this is what's happened. So you can re-roll a single dice, cost 1 point, or you can pay a point for foxholes. After both sides are deployed, nominate one of your non-vehicle units. Provided you do not move any of the models in that unit, you can re-roll failed saving throws of 1 for that unit for the duration of the first game turn. Rapid reinforcements, use this stratagem immediately before making reserves roll. If one of your units, the unit automatically arrives, no need to roll. A point here for insane bravery. Before you make a morale test, it's automatically passed. Handy. Return fire, use this stratagem immediately after the deployment has finished resolving a shooting attack of one of the units. Your unit can make a shooting attack against the unit that it targeted, as if it were your own shooting phase. Cool. And then strategic redeployment. After both sides are deployed, you can redeploy a single unit on the battlefield. Cool, just some little things there, sort of spend them how you want. So, pretty cool. Pre-roll is pretty handy. Okay, so Cataclysm of War to bind the storm. So it's the usual here, just seeing if there's anything different. Player A's deployment zone, player B's. Objective markers. It's 3 objective markers at equal points along the central line. There, and there, or wherever. First turn. The player set up first can choose to take the first or second turn. If they decide to take the first turn, then the opponent can cease initiative. At the end of the game, you have the usual for who wins. At the end of each of their turns, the players can take a leadership test for each of their character models within 3 inches of an objective marker, if it is contested by an enemy unit. If the character taking the test does the adamantium will roll, they can choose to reroll the result. If at least one character within range of the objective marker passes this test, they have successfully channeled the Empiric Storm at that way line. The controlling player earns 1 victory point. For each objective marker they successfully channel in each of their turns. If the player successfully channels the Empiric Storm at all 3 objective markers in the same turn, they earn an additional D3 victory points. Interesting. First Blood, Linebreaker, Slay the Warlord. Empiric Storms, which you refer back to Fall of Cadia book, and then Night Fighting Reserves and Stratagems. So, Fury of the Empiric Storm. In their mission, players must generate 3 Empiric Storm events at the start of each of their turns. However, they can choose to disregard one event and immediately generate another for each objective marker at which they successfully channeled the Empiric Storm in their previous turn. The price of failure: if a player attempts to channel the Empiric Storm and objective marker, and all attempts they make that turn are unsuccessful, Empiric Backlash wrecks the minds of those nearby. Roll a dice for every model, friend or foe, in 6 the objective marker, roll a 4+. The model being rolled for suffers a wound against which no kind of saves can be made. Furthermore, lookout Sir rolls cannot be attempted against wounds suffered in this manner, even if they would normally automatically be successful. Okay, so much more generalised these ones. And you got vagaries of the warp. It's the usual here. Terrain is D3 plus 2 objective markers. Usual, it's a random deployment zones as in the 40k rulebook. It's the usual here, nothing different. So there's D3 plus 2 objectives. You get 1 victory point for each one you control at the end of each of their turns, so that fluctuates there. Empiric Storms, Night Fighting Reserve Stratagems. Harrowing Environment, reduce leadership characteristic of all models by 1. Warp Loki, at the start of each turn roll a dice for each objective marker, consult the chart below. That just gives you some bonuses there, like an invuln save, or units that are nearby, units controlling this objective, fire snapshots at full ballistics, so just some little effects just there. Okay. Next one is Sanctuary from the Storm. So no objective markers placed at this stage. However, regardless of which deployment map you're using, the battlefield should be divided into 6 sectors of equal size, numbered 1 to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it's the objective markers turn up as the battle goes on. All the same fixed here, 7 turns for this game. At the end of the game, each objective marker is worth 3 victory points, and then first part of Linebreakers, Slay the Warlord, Empiric Storms, Night Fighting Reserves and Stratagems, Empiric Manifestations. At the start of each game turn after the first, randomly determine which of the 6 sectors an objective marker will manifest by rolling a dice. If the objective marker is already manifested in that sector, continue re-rolling to a sector that contains no objective marker is determined. When an objective marker manifests, place it in the centre of that sector and then scatter it 2d6 in a random direction. If the objective marker scatters on top of impassable terrain, reduce the scatter distance by the minimum required in order to avoid doing so. Cool. Good, nice dynamic that one. Good fun that game. Warp Becalmed. In this mission, the objectives represent havens of etheric tranquility that by divine intervention of fate have manifested on the battlefield and offer sanctuary from the raging warp storms. Units controlling the objective marker can choose to ignore Empiric Storm events that would otherwise affect them whilst they're in 3 inches of it. Okay. So, yeah, look fun enough, good fun. Yep, not too bad. Okay, so Forces of the Adeptus Astartes. So, formations they'll be covered a bit later. Forces of the Ultramarines. Okay. Hopes of Ultramar. Right, so Fallen Angels then. Cypher and the Fallen Angels and the Fallen Angels faction, which is shown by the icon below. The Fallen Angels faction has the following levels of alliance. Just the usual. Armies of the Imperium apart from Dark Angels. Allies of Convenience, Dark Elder, Elder Harlequins, Necrons, Orcs, Renegade Knights, Yanari. Desperate Allies, Star Empire, Come the Apocalypse, Chaos Demons, Genesi, the Cults, Khorne, Tyranids. Neither Cypher nor the Fallen may be included in any army that includes any models of Dark Angels. Alright, so they don't get on too well. If not fielded as part of the Fallen Champions formation, Cypher can be selected as part of a primary detachment of any of the armies of the Imperium or a primary detachment of the Chaos Space, or a primary detachment with the Chaos Space Marines faction. Cypher does not take up any slots from Detachment's Force Organisation chart. Ooh, weird. Okay. Right, okay, so we go on to the rules now for these new characters that have been released. So I'm intrigued about Cypher here. I'll just read the little description. Here, of all the secrets surrounding the Dark Angels, Cypher is perhaps the most compelling. Appearing on seemingly random battlefields across the galaxy, this enigmatic figure emerges from the shadows with his guns blazing, mowing down those unfortunate enough to be deemed an obstacle to his unknown objectives. His robes whirl around him as he moves, lending Cypher a wraith-like aspect amidst the smoke and flame of the battlefield, making him seem all the more ominous to his doomed victims. Wherever the fallen angel fights, mayhem and catastrophe are never far behind as allies turn on one another. Yet Cypher never suffers the consequences of his aura of disharmony. Some higher or perhaps lower watches over him, power watches over him, and should death ever threaten, Cypher disappears without trace, often in the most mysterious of circumstances. He will always return, however. Cypher has resurfaced time and again throughout the history of the Imperium, always staying one step ahead of the Dark Angels who pursue him, always bringing death and anarchy. Yeah, fascinating. So he's 190 points. And for that you get weapon skill 7, ballistic skill 10, strength and toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 8, that's incredibly high, 3 attacks, leadership 10 and a 3+ save. He's got frag and crack grenades, they show no fear. He has Eternal Warrior, which is handy. He's got fleet, he has hit and run. Yes, this fits in with his character, independent character, infiltrate and shrouded as well. Okay, and then some special rules here. Just trying to see what weapons he's got. Comes to it later, relics, okay. So as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Cypher cannot be selected as the warlord of an army. In addition, the leadership characteristic of the warlord of an army that includes Cypher suffers a -1 penalty. Okay. Blazing weapons. Cypher can shoot both of his pistols twice in each of his shooting phases. Okay. Either before or after making a run move. When making Overwatch shots, Cypher uses his full ballistic skill. In the assault phase, half of Cypher's close combat attacks rounding up are strength 4 and AP 5, and all remaining attacks are strength 7, AP 2. Cool. He's not bad. Divine Protection, not the toughest out there, but he's not bad. Divine Protection. If there is an enemy model within D6 of Cypher when he loses his last wound, or is otherwise removed as a casualty, then Cypher is assumed to have been captured alive. If there are no enemy models with this range, within this range, and Cypher is removed as a casualty, then he has made a miraculous escape. If Cypher escapes, then he cannot be considered to be a casualty for the purposes of awarding victory points. Okay. So, some extra rules here, a whole page of extra rules for him. Cypher and his fellow Fallen have been the subject of a secret manhunt by the Dark Angels and their successors since the Horus Heresy. The chapter's relentless pursuit has driven the renegade warrior and his black armoured brethren to the far reaches of the galaxy, with Cypher so far managing to stay just a step ahead of his pursuers. The following rules are used in any mission, which includes both Cypher or any units of Fallen and models of the Dark Angels faction. So at any cost, the following secondary objectives are used in addition to any others. If Cypher is captured, which is this rule we've seen down here, by a Dark Angels model, if several models are in a position to capture Cypher, some of which are Dark Angels and some of which are not, randomly decide which one captures him. Okay. The player whose army includes the Dark Angels scores 3 victory points. If Cypher is forced to escape or is captured by a model that is not Dark Angels faction, neither side gets the points. If Cypher is neither captured nor forced to escape before the end of the battle, the player whose army includes Cypher scores D3 victory points. Cool. Never forgive. All Dark Angels models with the Deathwing special rule have the Zealot special rule. Okay, so they're the ones that are after him. Okay, so Mysterious Relics, Cypher's pistols. Cypher carries a bolt pistol and a plasma pistol of ancient design. So, yeah, as sculpted on the model here, one's in its holster there, and then there's the plasma. Cypher's bolt pistol, it's range 16, strength 4 AP5 pistol, and Cypher's plasma pistol, range 12, strength 7 AP2. Cool. If he's carrying 2 pistols, I wonder if he gets an extra attack in combat. May well be. May well do. Okay, so then on to units of Fallen. They've included them here in the book. I'm not going to go through them too much here. They're pretty much the same as usual Space Marines. It's 100 points for 5 of them. It's all the same stuff for these. 2 attacks though as standard for both the regular Fallen and the Fallen Champion. They're 20 points a model. The Champion can take Lightning Claws, a Lightning Claw, Power Weapon or Power Fist. Can take Melter Bombs. Fallen Champion can take Combi, Flamer, Melter, Plasma and Plasma Pistol. 1 Fallen may replace his bolt gun with Flamer, Heavy Bolter, Melter Gun, Auto Cannon, Plasma Gun or Missile Launcher, and then a Las Cannon as well, just the usual points costs. Up to 4 Fallen may take Plasma Pistols, and then replace Close Combat Weapon with one of the following. Up to 4 Fallen may take Power Weapon, a Lightning Claw and a Power Fist, as you can arm them pretty well. A pair of Lightning Claws as well, and then Flamers, Melter Guns, Combi Flamers, Melter, Plasma and Plasma Guns. Right, so you can equip them really good actually. Pretty expensive, but you can equip them well. And then next one's Fallen Champions, is a formation. Cypher 1 to 3 units of Fallen. They will get Infiltrate, which is cool. Fallen Leader, any unit for this formation that is within 12 inches of Cypher has and they shall know no fear, and Stubborn. Special rules. Okay, so they work well together as a team. So that's that. Okay, so then so it does represent a small band. And it's not a massive army here. It's just it's Cypher and then just a small gathering of brethren that follow him around. Cool. Next is Grand Master Voldus, 240 points, beautiful model, very nice. So it's expensive, that's a lot of points, but we'll see. It's weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 5, strength and toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 5, 4 attacks, leadership 10 and 2 up save. It's got Terminator armor, so there's a 5 plus invuln. Storm Bolter, Frag and Crack Grenades, Psych Out Grenades, Iron Halo, he's got a 4 plus invuln. Just there. Then it's the Aegis, Nation of Fear, Independent Character, Preferred Enemy Demons, Purity of Spirit, and Psycho Master level 3. Lawmaster, Voldus knows 1 more power than is normal for his mastery level. This must be generated from Demonology Sanctic Discipline. He generates his powers from Demonology Sanctic, Divination, Fulmination, Geokinesis, Librarius, Pyromancy, Technomancy, Telekinesis and Telepathy disciplines. The Malleus Agrium is ×2 strength. This is this Thunderhammer. AP2, melee, force, concussive, demon bane, and specialist weapon. So it's generally armed here. Can't see Eternal Warrior. No. So you need to be careful there. Only a 4 plus invuln, so bit of a vulnerability of him. Eternal Warrior would have helped him out, but it doesn't have it. So then you've got a formation, the Bulwark of Purity. So 1 Librarian, Grey Knights, 2 units of Paladins, 2 units of Grey Knight Terminators. Librarian must have the Grey Knight's faction, they must wear Terminator armour. A unit in this formation can take a dedicated transport. Bulwark formation. While 3 or more units from this formation on the battlefield, you can have 1 to result in making Deny the Witch tests. Aura of Purity. Or 3 or more units in this formation on the battlefield, any unit from this formation successfully manifests Banishment Psychic Power. All units in the Demon Special are within 12 of any unit from this formation are affected. Okay. And then that's the Grey Knight's appendix. Okay. Psychic Grenade. Oh, it's covered it for you here. Iron Halo. Psychic Grenades. It's all there. Demonic Adversaries. Just some. Okay, let's just see what this is here. It's saying the following rules can be used in any battle that includes any units from Grey Knights. If both players agree, the rules represented here allow you to forge a narrative that naturally pits Grey Knights against foes that are outside of their normal anti-demon remit, with rules for fielding possessed adversaries and playing battles amidst the demonic incursion. These rules refer to the player opposing the Grey Knight player as the adversary. Right, so a little bit of so a little bit of variety there, just adapting Grey Knights, so that's that. Okay, so here he is. Nice background there, nice photography on that, really nice. So Guilliman here, 350 points. So yes, he is expensive, but it's not too bad. I mean, you know, an Imperial Knight, 350, 400 points. Space Marine player, you could then take him about the same, isn't it, really? So it's not too ridiculous. No, it's not like 600 points, this ridiculous model that's just going to kill everything. But we'll see how tough he is. Expect him to be really good, but hopefully if you fight against him, there's a chance of killing him. Not that that's meant to happen. Guilliman then, weapon skill 9. Ballistic skill 6, strength 6, toughness 6, wounds 6, initiative 6, attacks 6, leadership 10, and 2+ save. Right, so he's ridiculous. Does have adamantium will, does have ultra range chapter tactics, he does have Eternal Warrior, fearless, feel no pain on top of that, 6 wounds, that's crazy. He's got fleet, precision shots, precision strikes, preferred enemies, chaos. The Lord Commander of the Imperium. Friendly units from the armies of the Imperium reroll failed morale checks and fear and pinning whilst Guilliman is on the battlefield. God. Primarch of the 13th Legion. You can choose to enact the Devastator Assault and Tactical Doctrines once per game, in addition to any you can already use. That when one of these combat doctrines is enacted, all doctrines models in your army are affected. Unyielding will. Guilliman's leadership is not subject to negative modifiers of any kind, and he may reroll failed Deny the Witch tests. God, what an influence! But you're expecting him to have an influence across the battlefield. So cool. Absolute Mastery is his Warlord trait. He has all of the command traits from Warhammer 40,000 the rules. Just have a little look what that means, just to get an idea. But it's not all of these traits, just commands. So he does get Inspiring Presence. For any units within 12 can use his leadership rather than their own. Enemy units within 12 use their lowest leadership. Dust to 1,000 worlds. Your warlord and all friendly units within 12 have moved through cover. All friendly units within 12 have 1 to distance they can move when they're on a charge. Everyone within 12 reroll hit rolls of 1. And then the assault, everyone within 12 rerolls hit rolls of 1. That's what. Everything within 12, he's got a sphere of influence of 12 for all of these. Fascinating. Then we go on to the relics. Someone like James, who's collected Ultramarines for years and years, this is the crowning glory here to get this model. So I'd imagine James will get him, and it could really help his Ultramarines out if he takes on You throw him in against the Necrons. God, what a game that would be. Right, so Relics of Ultramar, the Emperor's Sword, and the Hand of Dominion. These weapons are used together using the following profile. So, Strength 10 AP 1. This is his sword. Melee, Armor Bane. Concussion, Soul Blaze, Touch of the Emperor, Whirling Flame. Any attacks with this weapon, hit rolls of 6 are D. Weapon hits rather than Strength 10. God, Whirling Flame. In the fight subphase, rather than making attacks normally, Guilliman can make a number of attacks with this weapon against each enemy unit engaged in his combat equal to the number of models that are within an inch of him. So, if he's surrounded by hordes, he just swirls the sword around. Cool. But, see, you can go two ways. You can either complain at, an amazing model, or the way I look at it is you look forward to meeting them in battle, and all the more glory if you can take on something of this size and then beat him. So it's probably a bit beyond Gut Ripper though. I think I think Gut Ripper would struggle. The Hand of Dominion. Yeah, because he's got a 3+ invuln, so yeah, he does. Yes. Yeah. The Hand of Dominion can also be used as a ranged weapon using the following profile. It may be used as both a melee weapon and a ranged weapon in the same turn. So Hand of Dominion is range 24, strength 6, AP2, assault 3, rending. Cool. And then Armour of Fate. The Armour of Fate confers a 3+ invuln save. In addition, if Guilliman is slain, place a marker at the spot where he was slain. At the beginning of your next turn, roll a dice, 4 or more. Guilliman is restored by his armour. Place him as close as possible to the marker. More than 1 inch from enemy units, with D3 wounds remaining. Otherwise, Guilliman is slain. If the marker is on the battlefield at the end of the game, Guilliman is considered to be slain. So he can take on anything. There's nothing that can withstand that kind of power. But he's a Primarch, so what do you expect? But a beautiful model. He needed to be big. I think Games Workshop have got it right. The Primarchs are bigger. And the sculpting is fantastic. Doesn't look silly. The flaming sword I think looks really nice. The artwork, the painting on that is brilliantly done. So it's just a very, very nice looking model indeed. So top marks there for what they've done. So a couple of formations here. So the triumvirate of the Primarch. You need to have Cypher, Guilliman and Voldus. You can reroll 1 failed saving throw each turn for each model in this formation. Inspiring Presence, whilst Voldus and Guilliman are on the battlefield, all friendly units with armies of the Imperium have Stubborn. Okay. So come in handy in some of the scenarios we've looked at previously. And then Victrix Guard. Captain Sicarius, unit of Honour Guard. And 4 units of Stone Guard Veterans or Vanguard. James will be interested in this one. He is a fan of Sicarius, and he does have the Honour Guard. Actually, he has them in lead, and they're beautiful models. And then he can add in some Stone Guard Vanguard. So it'll be interesting to see what you get here. It's a cool formation. No unit in this formation may take a dedicated transport or begin the battle embarked in a transport. Right, so it's fighting on foot here. Fight like demigods. Add 1 to the weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristics of all models in this formation. Nice. And then Primarch's chosen. While a unit from this formation is within 3 inches of Guilliman, he can make lookout sir rolls as if he was part of that unit. God. There you go, there's a nice theme. Them and Guilliman fighting anything on the battlefield. Cool. Alright, so Forces of the Ultra Range. They've given you some relics here as well. Cool. So, any detachment of Space Marines can be an Ultra Range detachment if all units in the detachment with Chapter Tactics Special are drawn from the Ultra Marines. An Ultra Range detachment retains the Space Marines faction and is treated in all ways as a Space Marines detachment. Ultra Range detachments may also use the following rules. Scions of Guilliman. You can choose to enact the Devastator, Assault and Tactical Doctrines once per game. When one of these doctrines is enacted, all Ultra Range models, all of them, are affected. Then Relics of Ultramar, just over there, and then new Warlord traits. Noble Visage. Your warlord and all friendly units within 12 of him with a faction that is part of armies of the Imperium must reroll failed morale, pinning, and fear tests. Warden of Ultramar, your warlord has counterattack. Paragon of War, your warlord has preferred enemy. Master of Strategy, add 4 to seize initiative. You can choose to. Master of Tactics, as long as your warlord is alive at the beginning of each of your turns, you can discard an active tactical objective. If you do so, you can generate a new tactical objective. Reroll this result if you're not playing a mission with tactical objectives. And then Adept of the Codex, your warlord and all friendly units within 6 of him have the Split Fire special rule. Cool. That's pretty handy. Not bad. Not too bad. They're okay, those ones. Okay, so some relics here. Interesting. James might find these interesting. He might choose to take a few of these. The points values are given next to them. So the Terentian Cloak, 35 points. The bearer has Eternal Warrior and it will not die. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, pretty cool actually. That one. Be handy to give to like a Space Marine captain, for example. Yeah. Okay, next is Helm of Censure. I'm just reading the top here. It says the vaults of Ultramar have been opened, and humanity's greatest champions now stride to war armed with some of the finest war gear seen for 10,000 years. Only one of each of the following items may be chosen per army, and only one may be chosen per model. Alright, so you can't stack these all up on one model. I just think that's cool. It's just new stuff that's been found. Helm of Censure, 30 points. The wearer of the Helm of Censure has preferred enemy special rule. Against Chaos Space Marines, he rerolls all failed to hit and to wound. Handy as well if you're fighting them. Sanctic Halo, 15 points. Space Marine Captain only. The bearer of the Sanctic Halo has Adamantium Will and Feel No Pain. Cool. Next is Soldier's Blade, 20 points. It's strength for the user, but it's AP2. Okay, so you're basically paying an extra 5 points to make it AP2. If your power sword would be 15 points. Extra 5 points gets you AP2. The Standard of Macragge Inviolate, 60 points. Friendly Ultramarine units within 12 of the bearer of the standard add 1 to their leadership characteristic. In addition, the bearer and his unit have an extra attack plus 1 attack while the bearer is alive. Finally, roll a dice each time a friendly Ultramarine's infantry model is killed within 6 of the standard. Before removing the model as a casualty on a 5+, that Space Marine can make an out of sequence shooting attack if it is the movement, psychic or shooting phase, or pile in and make its attacks if it is the fight subphase. Cool. And then the last one is Vengeance of Ultramar. It's 20 points, it's range 24, it's poison 2+, and it's assault 4, AP5. Not bad. I would say the Soldier's Blade might be handy enough. If you're taking a power sword, you just get the AP2, but the strength's quite low on a Space Marines captain. Sanctic Halo's pretty handy, we feel no pain. And the Terentian Cloak's pretty good. That could really help out. Eternal Warrior, and it will not die. Stick that on a captain, make it that much better. Give him a Relic Blade. Pretty cool. Right, last. Yeah, okay, it's just almost done here. So Victrix Strike Force Detachment. This detachment has to include, so you've got to take a core choice, 1 to 10 auxiliaries, and then 0 to 3 command. You get Perfect Doctrine. If you can choose to enact the Devastated, Assault and Tactical Doctrines, or Combat Doctrines in Codex Space Marines once per game. When one of these Combat Doctrines is enacted, all Ultramarines models in the army are affected. Right, so that's pretty cool. Instead of just like Fast Attack get it, or Heavy Supports get it, they all get it. In addition, you can choose to enact any combination of Devastated Doctrine, Assault or Tactical Doctrine in any of your turns, subject to the normal numbers of times that you're able to use each doctrine. Objectives secured. All non-vehicle units in this formation have objectives secured. The unit with this special rule controls objective markers even if an enemy scoring unit is in range of the objective marker, unless the enemy unit also has this rule. That's handy. And then Sons of Ultramar, if the detachment is your primary detachment, you can choose to reroll the Warlord trait. So yeah, if you're doing a standard Ultramarines, there's some pretty helpful bonuses there. So those doctrines are helpful, and it just expands them out to all the units. That's good. Objective secured is handy as well. So your core choices are a Battle Demi Company, Strike Force Ultra there, and then those are all your auxiliaries. No, these are your commands. Strike Force Command, Reclusium Command, Librarius Conclave, and then that's all your auxiliaries just there. And then tactical objectives. And that is it. So there's a lot in these books. James will be interested in this one for sure. I'm almost certain he's going to get Reboot Gilliman and paint him up. And you may well see him being used in some of our regular games of Warhammer 40,000. It's not going to bother me at all. I'll be quite happy to take him on. But the rules for him are extremely good. He has a very, very good stat line and rules for him. Very, very tough to kill. I think it's brilliant value for points. So great bonus that's going to be for the Space Marines. So that's the review then. Gathering Storm Part 3. Games Workshop moving the storyline along. It has to be done for them to survive. They have to keep things flowing along. It's difficult at times. People don't like change. It's just a natural thing. But I think they're doing it in a good way here. It seems to be. They're moving the storyline along with a nice series of books, some fantastic miniatures, and then you can take part in that storyline as it moves along by playing the various missions as well. So I think the whole thing has been a success. But you leave your comments as to what you think of events that have happened inside 40k, whether Games Workshop have done enough, whether they've not done enough, or whether they've gone too far. And leave your opinions just there in the comments section. And then to wonder what's going to happen with 8th edition when that comes out as well. Perhaps a bit off topic, but linked to this in some way. But I've got mine from gamingfigures.com. You can check them out. They do Games Workshop at a discounted rate. They do loads of other gaming systems as well, all at discounted prices as well. So that's the review for Gathering Storm Part 3, The Rise of the Primarch. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.